Have you ever wondered who stands at the threshold between life and death, waiting to welcome your soul? Edgar, the legendary sleeping prophet, offered profound visions of the beings who greet us in our final moments. Is it angels, loved ones, mysterious guides, or someone else entirely? The transition from physical life to the spiritual realm is perhaps the greatest mystery we face as human beings. While many of us fear this inevitable journey, Edgar's remarkable insights into the afterlife reveal something truly comforting. No soul ever crosses over alone. When consciousness leaves the physical body, it enters what mystics throughout time have called the borderland, that sacred space between worlds. In this ethereal dimension, time loses its grip, and the soul begins to remember its true nature beyond the physical form it once inhabited. The American mystic delivered thousands of psychic readings while in trance states, many touching on what happens in those precious first moments after death. What he described paints a picture far more beautiful and purposeful than most religious traditions have taught us. According to these revelations, the beings who come to greet us serve a profound purpose. They appear not by random chance, but through a cosmic orchestration that reflects our own soul's vibration and spiritual journey. These welcomers ease the shock of transition, helping us recognize that consciousness continues uninterrupted despite the body's cessation. The soul experiences an unbelievable peace, as described in numerous readings. This peace comes partly from the sudden absence of physical pain and limitation, but also from the loving presence of those who await us. Many report seeing what appears as a corridor of light, but this tunnel is not empty. It's lined with conscious, loving entities. Who exactly stands at this threshold? The answer varies for each soul, but patterns emerge that tell us much about the spiritual laws governing this transition. For most souls, familiar faces appear first, beloved family members, friends, and even cherished pets who passed before us. Their familiar energy signatures help the newly transitioned soul recognize that death is not an ending but a continuation. Yet the most fascinating aspect of these welcomers is how they reflect our own spiritual development. Souls of higher vibration often report being greeted not only by loved ones, but by luminous beings of light, what some traditions call angels or ascended masters. These beings radiate a love so profound that the soul instantly recognizes them, even if they weren't known during physical life. What determines who greets you in those precious first moments? Your level of spiritual development plays a crucial role. Those who spent their earthly lives in service, compassion, and love naturally attune to higher vibrational beings. Your emotional attachments also influence who appears. Souls with whom you've shared the deepest bonds often come forward first. Unresolved karma creates another pattern in these welcoming committees. Sometimes, souls report being greeted by individuals they barely knew in life, or even those with whom they had conflict. These meetings aren't random, but represent opportunities for healing and resolution that transcend physical existence. Perhaps most intriguing is how our state of mind at the moment of death influences who we perceive. Those who transition with fear or resistance may initially experience confusion or even temporary isolation before recognizing the loving presences around them. This doesn't mean they're alone, merely that their perception is temporarily clouded by their own expectations and emotions. The spiritual lessons carried from past lives also determine who awaits us. Some souls report encountering beings they instantly recognize on a soul level, despite having no memory of them from their most recent lifetime. These are often guides who have accompanied us through numerous incarnations, revealing the continuity of consciousness across the vast tapestry of existence. As we contemplate these revelations, we might ask ourselves, could someone you loved be waiting to welcome you? Are your spiritual guides closer than you think? The answers, according to Edgar's profound insights, offer both comfort and a call to greater awareness of our eternal nature. In the timeless moment when the soul departs from physical form, something remarkable occurs, a recognition beyond ordinary awareness. According to Edgar's profound insights, we are never met by random entities, but by specific soul guardians who have been intricately connected to our spiritual journey, often for many lifetimes. These soul guardians represent one of the most fascinating aspects of the afterlife transition. Unlike the conventional image of angels with wings or religious figures, these beings exist in a state of consciousness that perfectly aligns with our own spiritual frequency. They are, in essence, spiritual resonance made manifest, entities whose very nature reflects back to us our own soul's evolutionary progress. The soul recognizes its own, as Edgar described in one reading. This recognition isn't intellectual, but visceral, an instant knowing that transcends the limitations of earthly perception. Even souls who denied the existence of an afterlife during physical life experience this recognition, though their adjustment period may initially include confusion as they reconcile their beliefs with their new reality. What makes these soul guardians so uniquely qualified to assist in our transition? The answer lies in the concept of soul groups or soul families, collections of consciousness that have evolved together through countless incarnations. These beings have shared experiences with us across the tapestry of time, sometimes as parents, children, siblings, friends, teachers, or even adversaries. This shared history creates an energetic bond that transcends any single lifetime. The guardians who appear at death's threshold aren't assigned randomly, but have volunteered for this sacred task out of love and spiritual obligation. Some have made pre-incarnation agreements to serve as transition guides, arranging to pass before us specifically to be present at our crossing. Others are advanced souls who specialize in helping with this particular transition, having mastered the art of moving between dimensions. Perhaps the most startling revelation from Edgar's readings is that some souls encounter beings they've never met in their most recent lifetime, yet instantly recognize as intimately familiar. These mysterious guides often reveal themselves as companions from ancient lifetimes, or from spiritual realms where souls commune between physical incarnations. The profound familiarity feels like reuniting with a part of oneself long forgotten. The purpose these guardians serve extends far beyond mere welcoming. They function as stabilizing forces during a profound consciousness shift. As the soul disengages from physical reality, it experiences an expansion that can be overwhelming without proper guidance. These guardians create an energetic container that helps the soul maintain coherence during this expansion, preventing the disorientation that might otherwise occur. Soul guardians also serve as interpreters of the experience, helping newly transitioned souls understand what they're perceiving. The afterlife realms operate according to different laws than physical reality. Thought creates instantly, time exists simultaneously rather than linearly, and communication occurs through consciousness rather than words. The guardians help translate these new conditions into understanding the soul can grasp. For those who transition unexpectedly through accident or sudden illness, these guardians play an even more crucial role. Without the psychological preparation that often accompanies anticipated death, souls departing suddenly may experience shock or disorientation. In these cases, the guardians provide an intensified presence, sometimes creating familiar-seeming environments to ease the transition before gradually introducing the soul to its new reality. Edgar's readings suggest that some of these guardians have specialized functions. Some focus on emotional healing, helping souls process any trauma associated with their death or unresolved emotions from their life. Others specialize in helping souls review their life experiences, a process many traditions describe as a life review. Still others serve as guides to specific afterlife realms where the soul will continue its evolution. The composition of this welcoming committee reveals much about our own spiritual journey. Souls who dedicated themselves to spiritual growth often report being met by highly evolved beings radiating unconditional love, while those focused primarily on material concerns might initially encounter guides who appear more ordinary, but whose loving presence gradually awakens higher awareness. Contrary to some religious teachings, these soul guardians don't appear as judges, but as loving facilitators. They hold space for the soul's own self-evaluation rather than imposing external judgment. This aligns with Edgar's consistent message that divine law operates through love rather than punishment, with each soul ultimately measuring itself against its own highest potential. Could someone be preparing right now to welcome you when your time comes? Are there beings who know you more deeply than anyone in your physical life? The evidence from thousands of readings suggests this profound possibility, that love transcends death, and consciousness continues its journey in the company of those who understand our truest essence. When the soul departs from the physical vessel, it experiences what Edgar described as the Great Awakening. This isn't merely a poetic metaphor, but a literal expansion of consciousness. A moment when the veil between worlds dissolves and the soul remembers what it had temporarily forgotten during incarnation. This moment of recognition brings with it a series of profound revelations that transform our understanding of existence itself. The first sensation most souls experience is an overwhelming relief, the sudden absence of physical limitation, pain, and the constraints of three-dimensional reality. Many compare it to removing a heavy, restrictive garment or stepping out of a dense fog into crystal clarity. The soul suddenly perceives reality with heightened senses that dwarf the limited perceptions of physical existence. Colors appear more vivid, sounds more harmonic, and awareness expands in all directions simultaneously. In that moment, one of Edgar's most profound readings revealed, the soul perceives not just with the limited senses of the body, but with the entirety of its being. What was once seen through a glass darkly is now perceived face to face. This expanded perception allows the soul to recognize the welcoming beings not just visually, but energetically, perceiving their essence, intentions, and the threads of connection that have bound them together across multiple lifetimes. As the soul adjusts to this expanded awareness, it begins to perceive the true nature of those who have come to greet it. What may initially appear as human forms often transform, revealing themselves as complex energy signatures or beings of light, whose appearance shifts according to the soul's ability to comprehend what it's seeing. Some souls report that their welcomers appear to radiate from within, as though their outer form is merely a container for a brilliant inner light that speaks directly to the observer's consciousness. Perhaps the most astonishing aspect of this recognition is the soul's ability to perceive its own past incarnations reflected in the beings who greet it. In many cases, the soul suddenly remembers shared experiences from multiple lifetimes. Recollections that were inaccessible during physical life suddenly flood back with perfect clarity. A mother who passed years before might appear not just as the parent from the most recent lifetime, but simultaneously as a child the soul once raised in an ancient civilization, or as a beloved friend from a lifetime lived centuries ago. This multidimensional recognition reveals the beautiful complexity of soul relationships, showing how souls have served as each other's teachers, students, protectors, and companions throughout their evolutionary journey. What seemed like chance meetings during physical life are revealed as carefully orchestrated reunions, with each relationship serving specific purposes for spiritual growth. The moment of recognition also brings an understanding of how these welcoming beings have influenced us even during physical life. Many souls report suddenly realizing that the intuitive nudges, dreams, moments of inspiration, and even seeming coincidences they experienced while incarnated were often the subtle influence of these same beings who now greet them openly. The thin membrane between worlds proves to have been more permeable than they realized. For souls who lived with spiritual awareness, this recognition feels like a joyful confirmation of what they already sensed. But for those who denied spiritual realities during physical life, this moment can bring a complex mixture of surprise, relief, and even temporary disorientation as they reconcile their beliefs with their new perceptions. Yet even in these cases, the loving presence of the welcomers creates a safe container for this paradigm shift. Edgar's readings consistently describe how this recognition transcends religious and cultural boundaries. Christians might initially perceive beings in forms aligned with their expectations, perhaps as angels or biblical figures, while Buddhists might see light beings resembling bodhisattvas, and those from indigenous traditions might encounter ancestral spirits or nature deities. Yet as the soul's perception clarifies, it begins to recognize that these apparently different forms are simply cultural interpretations of the same fundamental spiritual realities. The depth of emotional connection in this moment of recognition defies earthly description. Many souls report experiencing a love so unconditional and complete that it makes even the most profound earthly love seem like a mere shadow by comparison. This love conveys absolute acceptance, transcending judgment, and embracing the totality of the soul's journey, both its accomplishments and its failures, its wisdom and its folly. For souls who lived with regret or carried the weight of perceived failures, this unconditional acceptance often triggers a profound healing. The welcoming beings help the soul understand that what seemed like mistakes were often necessary experiences for growth, and that divine love encompasses the entirety of their journey without judgment or condemnation. What makes this recognition so transformative is that it's not merely intellectual, but experiential. The soul doesn't just understand these connections conceptually, but feels them with its entire being. This direct perception bypasses the filtering mechanisms of the physical brain, allowing for a purity of recognition impossible during incarnation. As the initial shock and wonder of transition stabilizes, the soul begins to recognize not just those who have come to greet it, but its own eternal nature. It perceives itself as it truly is, not the limited identity it assumed during physical life, but a vast, multidimensional consciousness that has expressed itself through numerous incarnations while maintaining its essential continuity across time and space. Could your true identity be far more expansive than you currently perceive? Are your loved ones and spiritual guides maintaining connections with you even now, waiting for the moment of full recognition? Edgar's revelations suggest these profound possibilities, that what awaits us is not an ending, but an awakening to our eternal nature and the love that transcends all boundaries of physical existence. After the soul recognizes its welcomers and experiences that profound moment of expanded awareness, it begins what Edgar described as the journey proper into the afterlife realms. This transition isn't instantaneous, but unfolds as a gradual acclimation to entirely new dimensions of existence where thought, emotion, and consciousness operate under different laws than those governing physical reality. The soul's first experiences beyond the threshold reveal one of Edgar's most startling insights. The afterlife isn't a uniform destination, but a vast spectrum of vibrational realms, each corresponding to different states of consciousness. As a man thinketh, so is he, takes on literal meaning as the soul naturally gravitates toward realms that match its own vibrational frequency, determined by the thoughts, emotions, and actions that dominated its physical existence. Many souls describe moving through what appears as a luminous corridor or passageway, guided by their welcomers towards specific afterlife regions. This movement isn't physical, but represents shifts in consciousness as the soul acclimates to increasingly subtle dimensions. For souls of higher spiritual development, this journey may progress rapidly through numerous realms, while others might linger in specific dimensions that offer exactly the conditions needed for their continued growth and healing. One of the most liberating aspects of this journey is the soul's growing realization that it's no longer bound by physical limitations. Thought creates reality instantly in these realms, a startling adjustment for newly transitioned souls. The welcomers provide crucial guidance during this phase, helping the soul understand its new creative abilities and responsibilities. Without this guidance, some souls might inadvertently create confusing or limiting thought forms from habitual patterns carried over from physical existence. For many souls, the journey beyond the threshold includes what traditions across cultures have described as a life review, not the stereotypical flashing of events before one's eyes, but a profound multi-dimensional experience where the soul perceives not just its actions, but their effects on others, experiencing them from multiple perspectives simultaneously. This review isn't punitive, but revelatory, offering the soul profound understanding of its life's hidden patterns, missed opportunities, and moments of grace. What makes this review particularly powerful is that it occurs in the presence of unconditional love. The welcoming beings create a space where the soul can face even its most regrettable actions without shame or condemnation, seeing them instead as necessary aspects of its evolutionary journey. This loving context allows for genuine accountability without the burden of guilt, a subtle but crucial distinction that facilitates authentic spiritual growth. Edgar's readings reveal that some souls encounter what might be described as specialized healing centers in these afterlife dimensions, environments specifically designed to address trauma, emotional wounds, or spiritual disorientation carried from physical life. These aren't physical places, but states of consciousness where expert soul guardians work to restore harmony and integration before the soul continues its journey. For souls who departed through traumatic circumstances, these healing dimensions serve a crucial purpose. The shock of violent death, suicide, or prolonged suffering can create energetic imprints that require careful attention before the soul can fully embrace its expanded consciousness. The beings who specialize in this healing work possess extraordinary compassion and skill, having often evolved through similar experiences themselves in previous incarnations. Perhaps the most profound aspect of this journey beyond the threshold is the soul's gradual remembrance of its larger purpose, not just within the most recent lifetime, but across the vast tapestry of its evolutionary journey. As artificial boundaries dissolve, the soul begins to perceive what Edgar called the divine pattern, the intelligent design underlying seemingly random life experiences. What appeared as senseless suffering often reveals itself as catalyst for profound growth, while seemingly minor kindnesses show far-reaching consequences. Many souls describe encountering what different traditions might call councils of elders, karmic boards, or circles of light, gatherings of highly evolved beings who help the soul integrate its recent life experiences within the context of its broader spiritual evolution. These beings don't judge, but rather assist the soul in its own self-evaluation, helping it understand the lessons completed and those still awaiting mastery. For souls with strong attachments to physical existence or unresolved emotional bonds, the journey beyond the threshold might include periods of proximity to the earthly plane. Edgar's readings suggest that such souls might remain conscious of their loved ones still in physical form, sometimes attempting to communicate or provide support during times of need. This proximity isn't a punishment or being stuck, but a natural expression of emotional connections still in the process of transformation. As the soul continues its afterlife journey, it gradually acclimates to increasingly subtle dimensions, often described in terms of light, vibration, and expanded awareness. Time operates differently in these realms. What might seem like brief moments can encompass what would be perceived as years in Earth time, allowing for deep healing and integration to occur in what appears to the soul as the perfect duration. Throughout this journey, the initial welcomers often remain as companions, though their roles may shift from guides to teachers or fellow travelers. Some may eventually return to their own soul purposes, while transferring their guidance responsibilities to beings more specialized for the soul's next phase of development. This transition occurs organically, without the sense of abandonment or loss that might accompany similar transitions in physical life. Perhaps the most comforting revelation from Edgar's readings is that this journey beyond the threshold isn't a final destination, but a continuation of the soul's eternal evolution. Whether the soul eventually chooses another physical incarnation or continues its development in non-physical realms, the connections formed with its welcomers remain as part of an ever-expanding network of consciousness, a sacred web of relationships that transcends the limitations of any single lifetime or dimension. As we contemplate these profound insights, we might ask ourselves, how might we live differently if we truly understood that death is not an ending, but a threshold? What connections might we nurture more deeply, knowing they continue beyond physical existence? Edgar's revelations invite us not just to prepare for death, but to embrace life with greater awareness of our eternal nature and the loving presence that awaits us all beyond the final threshold. If these revelations about who awaits your soul have touched something deep within you, take a moment to reflect on what truly matters in your eternal journey. The wisdom Edgar shared isn't just knowledge, it's an invitation to live differently today. Subscribe now to continue this spiritual exploration together and never miss our future revelations about the mysteries that connect this world with the next. Your soul's journey deserves this guidance. Leave a comment sharing who you hope will be waiting for you at that sacred threshold, or perhaps a loved one you've promised to greet someday. Your story matters, and this community grows stronger with each shared experience. The veil between worlds is thinner than you think. Join us as we walk this path of discovery together.